pride. Pride is a concept at the heart of the LGBTQ plus community. It's a concept of having pride in yourself, whoever you are, whoever you love, because whoever you love and whoever you are is awesome. It's a movement, it's a day, it's a flag, celebration, it's a protest, and it's a riot. And pride means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And to get our heads around that, we've asked some of the extended advertising community for their perspectives. Now, last year, I was lucky enough to fly with my fiance Paul to World Pride in New York. And we flew on this crazy Virgin Atlantic drag queen flight that was basically a non-stop party. And out there, it felt like the whole city was taken over with countless events and celebrations, and with a parade that lasted, I kid you not, over 12 hours. But we also had the chance to go to the Stonewall Inn to reflect on the riots that arguably started it all, on the Black trans people who stood up for the community then and still need us to stand up for them right now. Think about the huge numbers we've lost along the way, terrible physical and mental illness, the long battles that had to be fought to get us here. This year, of course, Pride was very different. I've barely been in a tube carriage in 6 months, let alone a party plane across the Atlantic. And we didn't have the opportunity to come together as a community, but we still found virtual ways to make it count. And it has been inspiring to see just how many young kids have chosen to put rainbow flags up in their windows this year, hasn't it? So, well, what about marketing? That's what we're here to talk about after all. What's the role of brands at Pride? Are they helping amplify it and make it bigger? Or is it shameless commercialization to see them there? Are they giving their employees a platform to represent, or using it just to tick a CSR box? There are many different perspectives on what brands should or shouldn't do around Pride, and the only real consensus is that they could probably all do a lot more. Personally, I do think that even turning up is a start, that turning your logo rainbow or launching a rainbow sandwich isn't as easy or as shameless a cash-in as people sometimes think. And in fact, such positive normalization is hugely important. It's amazing to think of all the people exposed to that imagery and whose prejudices and perspectives might be challenged along the way. But like I say, not everyone agrees. Go over to some of our friends to tell us what Pride does still mean to them and what role they see brands playing within it.
So this year's been quite an extraordinary year, hasn't it? You know, so Pride physically hasn't been able to happen, but I've been inspired by the digital Prides that have happened around the world. And Pride to me is a celebration. It's a celebration of people being able to be free to be themselves, to love who they want to love, and be able to express themselves in a way they want to express themselves.
Pride's really important to me, most importantly because I want to be able to refer to my girlfriend as my girlfriend and not like I'm in a relationship with a law firm and call her my partner or my other half. The other thing is also just being able to say she and her in general conversations when I talk about what I'm up to this weekend, or say girlfriend.
I think it's incredibly important to keep celebrating Pride because increased visibility means increased comfort in coming out and being oneself. It's not exactly a correlation. However, I know that growing up without an example of a queer Black man, I felt incredibly uncomfortable actually being able to live in my truth.
It's about our political beginnings. It's about standing up for the continued oppression of, first of all, gay men, because that's what I am, but also everybody in the intersectionality that is LGBTQ, which, you know, as we grow up and as we evolve, we learn so much more about.
For me, Pride is so important to feel part of an LGBTQ plus family, and knowing that we are there to celebrate love, to celebrate inclusion, acceptance, and just to celebrate who we are and the fact that we are who we are.
Last year was the first time I went to UK Black Pride, and it was honestly one of the best times of my life. As soon as I walked, even before I walked in, when we were queued up to get in, I just felt just like this sort of overwhelming feeling of love and just being, it's honestly the first time in my life I've been in a space with so many people that look like me, that love like me, that shared my experience, and it was honestly the best time of my life.
I've seen it through its evolution from the very, very early days through to where it is now, from being a relatively small-scale thing in London to now being a global phenomenon. And one of the things that I think is most extraordinary is how much brands are now involved in it, and how much it's become a sort of mainstream part of not just the UK's cultural life, but most countries around the world.
I mean, it's an it's an activist thing. It still has to be in some countries, and especially in some of the towns in the UK. But it allows us still to celebrate with our allies and our friends who've supported us throughout the year. Trans and non-binary people really do have to be visible right now, especially in the UK, where trans rights may get rolled back.
A celebration of who we are and our right to be, but more importantly, it is a march for the rights of everybody else that doesn't get to enjoy the liberties we do.
There's still a long way to go, though, I believe, for Pride to be truly celebrated. It's only in recent years that we've really been celebrating the intersectionality, for example. But trans, bi, pan, all these different communities finally being allowed to really be their truest selves and be celebrated.
Bisexuality is, by its nature, tricky to celebrate at Pride and also hard to portray in ads. I sometimes feel we're the penultimate pariah, but it is getting better. And it would be nice to see some banners saying, "Bis and pans, we don't distrust and dislike you as much as we used to," next time we're allowed to go marching. Then I could wear with more confidence my t-shirt saying, "Still going through a pansexual phase."
I think that companies partaking in Pride campaigns, it's all well and good slapping a rainbow on everything from your sandwiches to your t-shirts, but if you're not actually doing the work and going into the community and doing work to help and better the community or the conditions for the community, then what you're doing is ultimately quite pointless and it's profiteering.
I think it's the time of the year when companies should elevate LGBTQ people, notice them, take particular attention and care for them, understand what diversity means.
Well, we have allies, individual allies, we have network allies, but it's time for corporates to become corporate allies as well. And that is making a stance on difficult issues where you might lose clients, but probably the wrong type of client anyway, and gain the right type of client. And you'll probably gain if you're on the right side of history with all this sort of activism stuff that's going on with LGBT rights right now in the UK.
Speak to us and engage with us throughout the year, either them being present in our publications or having people that look like us and look like us in their ads, or marrying the two and having their ads depict us as well as being in our publication.
Making more events available, not just during Pride but throughout the year, and knowing it's a safe place to work and a safe space to work in. That's so important for those LGBTQ plus people that are out, but also that aren't, because some people aren't for whatever reason, and I think just supporting those people is so important.
I think a lot of people at the moment are putting a lot of emphasis on authenticity with brands. Oh, they haven't been doing that for the last 5 years, so they're just not authentic, they're jumping on a bandwagon. Well, there's a first time for everything, I wasn't not gay at 25, I just didn't come out till I was 26.
As for companies, just turning up works for me. It's a foot on the ladder, and I believe that they'll get higher up that ladder as time goes by.
As a gay woman, as a mother and as a wife, I want to see my family represented in advertising. I want to see us represented in all walks of life, not just tokenistic.
I think it's about positive advertising, but it's about positive role modelling within a business. It's about showing that freedom, that liberation, that people should be able to be free to be themselves day in, day out, and come to work as themselves every single day.
One thing that I do really enjoy is the genuine activations and not campaigns, that is, that different brands will put together during Pride season, whether that's a talk on mental health within the LGBTQ community, or just down to a good roundtable talk with loads of knowledgeable leaders within our community.
There's some lovely examples at the moment out there where there are members of the LGBTQ plus community featuring in advertising, and it's great to start to see that representation. I think one of my favourite ones is a car advert at the moment that has a young female couple. The only thing that really is missing for me at the moment is the coming out phase. At the moment, it just feels like it's very, very easy to go from childhood friends to suddenly being able to be in a marriage or a relationship with someone of the same sex as you. Whereas for a lot of people, including myself, the actual coming out process is really hard and is one of the major contributors to why mental health is such an issue within the LGBTQ plus community.
So I think we've seen a step change in the way companies and organisations take part in Pride. And for me, the one that sticks in my mind is, I think a couple of years ago in the Outvertising Awards, I saw the Army and all the effort that they made. And I think when you see sort of national institutions like the Army playing a prominent role in Pride, you really know that it's arrived and it's such a main part of our life as a nation.
The information is out there, the communities are out there. It's time to get involved with conversation and really understand these groups if you really want to support them, and show up and actually be allies. And also remember that ally is a verb. You need to do something. You can't just listen, you need to participate, take action. I really hope you all enjoyed the Outvertising Awards today.
We have to be visible. We shouldn't be ashamed of who we are. When we rise, it's about community, it's about love.
Folks think we're strange, but they'll catch up.
Telling our stories is a revolutionary act.
Dance like nobody's watching, nobody's judging who you love. Scream like you won't be silenced, kill them with kindness and your love. From the start and the dust we will make all of us. So let's dance like nobody's watching, nobody's watching. Dance like nobody's watching, nobody's judging who you love.
Thanks to all the incredible perspectives shared there. It was really interesting just to hear the different perspectives from across the community and on why Pride still is so important and such an important day to us. Big shout out to UK Black Pride and Pride in London, who we briefly showcased at the end there, just to remind ourselves what a normal year can look like. But let's not forget that Pride happens in hundreds of cities, towns, or even villages across the country and across the world. Now, I'm very excited to be able to announce the next big winner of the night. And the winner of the Outvertising Award for Best Pride Activation is going to be announced after a few minutes break, I'm afraid. It's just going to be a 5-minute break. I feel like Simon Cowell. So yes, run to the loo, grab yourself a drink, and if you're enjoying a show, tweet it out, ping your friends. It's not too late to join. And if you're thinking about joining us for the after party, you'll find an ingredients list for the cocktail we're going to be making too. So maybe rummage through your cupboards. But yeah, see you in 5 minutes.